People might think I'm weird. 10% happier self-care journey. Today is January 8th, 2020. So before we start this, I'm going to start with pretty much a ritual that I've been incorporating, and that is, hey Jan, thanks for hanging out, and everybody else who is joining. Ryan, thanks for hanging out. Start with my concept, which is called the 30-second meditation concept. 3 deep breaths, 10 seconds of mindfulness, and then we'll jump into the information for today. So wherever you are, doesn't matter if you are somewhere seated or quiet, or if you're driving, no matter what you're doing, you could take a few seconds to do this practice. So we're just going to take 3 deep breaths. That's about it. So we're going to take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. One more deep breath in and out. One final breath in and out. So congratulations, if you've never meditated before, you just did. Meditation isn't about how long you do it. It isn't about having the perfect Aaron Hill music behind you, like what's playing there called Akila's Meditation on my newest project, Key Reflections, Volume 1. You can download it everywhere. Shameless plug. It's not about having yoga mats and candles and lotus position with your fingers like it. So everything is icing on the cake when you add anything onto taking deep breaths, being with your breath, and being mindful, and being able to detach just for a few seconds or a few minutes. I think that the most helpful thing to do is to practice 30-second meditations while you're going throughout your day, because just detaching for a second and taking those deep breaths, you realize the effect that it has on your mood, on your heart rate, on everything. So thank you. Happy New Year, Jan. Happy New Year, brother. Happy 2020 to everybody that's watching. So yeah, 30-second meditation. That is my brand of meditation that I will be building a lot of stuff around, because I think it's the most accessible. And in order to get the entire world to understand the applications of meditation, it has to be super duper acceptable. I mean, not acceptable, accessible. People might think I'm weird. 10% happier self-care journey. That's today's topic. Meditation is starting to become more and more socially acceptable. Abroad, amongst people with various belief systems, religions, and spiritual paths. So, for those that are not familiar, the course that I'm going through is a meditation course called the 10% Happier course. And this was created by a guy named Dan Barker, who is an ABC, I think he might still be on ABC news anchor. Hey Emmanuel, hey Marcus. Thanks Emmanuel, Happy New Year to you too. Dan Barker is a news anchor who had a panic attack on the news, I guess about 10 years ago, and it led him on a path for meditation, to find a remedy, and he encountered meditation. He's a skeptic, and he might even be an atheist as well. And he wrote a course that was geared towards meditation, and I really appreciate it because for me, as a skeptic, as an atheist, as someone who I appreciate all forms of meditation, but if I'm listening to a meditation where it goes too hardcore in like a religious direction, then it screws with my mind. Like I can't focus because they're saying all kinds of stuff that I don't believe in. So that's what this is. You can download it on Android or Apple phone, iPhone. And it's a really good course for anybody. And that's the thing I like about it, that it is neutral and that anybody can use it. So in this particular lesson that I did today, they did an interview with some cadets actually from the Air Force. And these were people all of, various disciplines and paths and that kind of thing. And what I most appreciated was something that I've been mindful of or aware of for a while. They had a few people in the conversation where they asked them, about their experience in the midst of that session. And there was a couple people that were Christian. And one particular guy said, he said, at first I was a little worried, because I didn't quite know if Jesus would be happy with me doing this or unhappy. And he said, but, I got to a point where I realized that, this is something that has to do with me personally, and it doesn't conflict with my faith. Another person said that they thought that meditation only had to do with like Buddhism and that kind of thing. And they said that once they did some more research, they realized it wasn't, so they stopped having their inhibitions about it. And so it speaks to me about something that I've been aware of for a while. I remember, I don't know, maybe it might have been about 10 years ago. I remember I told my mother that I was getting into yoga and that kind of thing. And I remember she had like some inhibitions. Like, is that where they say those different chants and stuff? She's like, no, that's not, it's not good, and I understood where she was coming from because of her religious beliefs. But even with her, that has changed, And so all around, I've noticed that people at large, abroad with various paths, are becoming more and more open to meditation, realizing that it is one of the most helpful tools that we can use for de-stressing and decompressing. And people are realizing that they can still have or practice their religious or spiritual practices, and that this is something that it doesn't clash with it, so to speak, Now I will go out, on I don't want to say on a limb because I don't feel it's risky, but I would say that one of the biggest things I appreciate about this, and how at large it's becoming more and more just a secular practice, is that, traditional forms of prayer to me don't do what meditation does, even though many people look at prayer and meditation as like one thing. I understand it because of the specific aspect of stilling yourself and focusing on a particular thing. But the difference is that with prayer, your mind is all kinds of distracted with all kinds of things. You're asking for things, you're pleading for things, you're crying about things, depending on the different forms of prayer that you may practice. Whereas though that actually can induce anxiety, that can induce some other things, even while at the same time, for many people, it is a releasing experience because of what they feel they're investing in and how it makes them feel. And more power to you, right? But meditation alone, where your goal is to basically monitor your thoughts so that you're not thinking about a whole bunch of things and taking a break from that kind of thinking, is really, really helpful. It's really helpful. So I'm glad that abroad is becoming more socially acceptable, because it makes sense. We're in the age of Aquarius. Like, it's the information age. We're moving into a place where we're becoming more and more conscious and aware, and that's best for our well-being. So the second thing I have here is pattern noticing. Hey Amber, hey Rodney, hey Marcus, thank y'all for joining me. The second thing I have here is pattern noticing / investigation is how we become less and less pulled away by the natural distractions. So your goal is to, again, I always say, and I'll be saying it every time I talk about meditation, the goal with meditation is not that you're only meditating if you have a clear mind. And if you have a mind that is going 100 miles a minute, that you're not meditating. You actually are meditating when that happens, because your goal is to notice the patterns, notice where your mind goes when you're trying to just focus on your breath, and then be able to investigate it without judgment and noticing that and then refocusing gently is what allows you to be pulled away less and less. I was saying in my live stream the other day, anybody who you look at, who you see as like a meditation guru, somebody who you think is just like in this place, they don't have thoughts, you're not looking at someone who's a person who is perfect and whatever the hell that is, right? Because I just talked about that. There's no such thing as perfection. It's a social and mental construct. But you're not looking at somebody who's mastered, who doesn't have thoughts. You're looking at someone who's able to just monitor their thoughts faster and faster, so that when they do have thoughts, they can notice the pattern and then they can bring it back to center quicker and quicker. And that's how you build consistency. It's no different than a great improviser. And if I take myself, for example, when I'm improvising, anything that you hear that sounds like great execution is normally me turning a mistake into an idea in the midst of a moment. But you can't tell because I'm doing it so fast. And if you don't play the piano, or if you're not a musician, then all you know is that, wow, like he keeps the motion going and it always sounds good. It's just a fast recovery. So pattern noticing is how you start to get faster and faster at your recovery time and bring your thoughts back. Your breath is always your home base to come back to whenever your mind starts to wander. So your mind will wander, and the goal is to return back to the most simple aspect of your life force, which is your breath. If focusing on breathing bothers you, then use the sensations of the body or even some other sound to focus on. Meditative music is a good source, like Aaron Hill's music. So, for me, focusing on the breath is the best because I just like focusing on the breath. It doesn't bother me, and I find it really, really helpful because I found that in my practice prior to this particular, embarking upon this journey, I found that very seldom did I take deep breaths. I just didn't notice it, and I realized it with others as well. We take a lot of short and shallow breaths, especially as we are moving and our heart is racing and we're thinking about a lot of things. So being able to just pause and just take a deep breath and allow your exhales to be long, it's the best thing for me. And I find that for most people, it's a really good point of focus. But if that does not work for you, then they say to focus on a sensation in your body. Focus on just how your body is touching the chair or wherever you're sitting or laying. Focus on the sensations in your hands. Just feel your body. Just be present there. And so that is a really good source if breathing doesn't work for you. Meditative music is, as I turn up my meditative music, is another really good source because, especially I think, and the reason why I play this kind of music is because I think that simple music that doesn't have a lot of lyrics, or if it does have something, it's something like what I'm starting to create in my Deep Grooves neuromusical mindfulness series and volumes, is like something where it's a repeating positive mantra, just something where your mind is not thinking about too many different things at one time. But if it's music or if it's a sound, some people like those binaural meditations where it's just one tone. I actually found one on YouTube that I found really cool, that maybe I'll post in the chat below if anybody's interested. And and also I forgot, hey Ms. Fidel, thanks for watching. I also forgot to put in the chat the notes too. I usually copy and paste them, but I forgot to copy them to my phone before I started this live stream. So I will put them in the comment section right after I finish, so you can read all the notes that I'm saying to you now. So meditative music is a really good source because it allows your mind to follow a melody or follow a beat or follow a pattern where you can just stay focused on that, and you're sitting with something, and it's not the millions and billions of thoughts that you're going to have when you finish meditating. Make a mental note of the direction your mind goes when being distracted. Make a mental note of that, then refocus on the breath. So I found it really helpful. As they mentioned this, I found it really helpful. I think everybody's mind probably goes in a particular direction. I think it probably goes in a direction of like what's on your mind most, or it could be an array of things, because we have a lot of things to think about every day in our journeys and in our life. For me, what happens is I start pondering on either things I want to accomplish, like moves I want to make, ideas. Sometimes I'm meditating and I'm thinking about this session right here, like the actual session of what I'm going to talk about for the self-care journey. There's an array of things. I'm always in the mindset of, building on something, creating something new, So my mind tends to go there. If it doesn't go there, it goes to like my relationships and thinking about like interactions I've had and like if they've gone well, if they went a particular way, I go back and re-examine them so I can learn from them if I need to learn anything, and my mind goes there. So what they say is if you make a mental note of where your mind goes, then you can start to notice it more and more, because you do not notice when your mind wanders. You just don't. You're focusing on your breath, and before you know it, you're not. You don't even realize where the changeover happened, because your mind's always going. So if you make a mental note, that at least allows another part of your brain to start recognizing, I'm thinking about something different. I'm thinking about this again. And so you just gently make a note, and then you just refocus back on your breath or your body or my music or whatever. So, last but not least, use gentle, non-judgmental curiosity to explore your distractions. This is mindfulness. The key to meditation is not overthinking it, not overanalyzing it, not making it harder than what it is. But a lot of times the most simple things in life are the hardest, because they require us to break down all of our analysis and just be open, or just be mindful, or just be simple. And we're not used to that, unfortunately. We were used to that probably way back in the distant past, but now there are so many distractions, even the things that are positive for us. They all have cons as far as their value on our minds, the psychological aspect on our minds. So the distractions you can find make you be really over the top. So using gentle, non-judgmental curiosity is the important part. If you think about something, just kind of explore, like, what is that? Like, okay, this is interesting. This is where my mind goes, as opposed to like, stop thinking about shit and meditate. If you feel that way, then you're going to need a meditation for your meditation. It's like going on vacation and you get no rest, and then you finish and then you're like, okay, now that I'm back home from this vacation, now I need a vacation, So you want to be as gentle with yourself, as non-judgmental, and as curious as possible in exploring your directions. This, my friends, is mindfulness. And on that tip, that is the self-care lesson for today. Hey, Kenny, thanks for watching. Happy New Year to you. Happy 2020 to everybody else who's watching here. Thank you so much for joining me for this journey. It's like, oh gosh, this journey is so fun, because I always like to share what I learned. And so since I'm on a journey, becoming, dare I say, a meditations expert at some point, I am actually able to teach and share and offer as well. So this is a lot of fun, because we're together every step of the journey. So that's today's message. That's today's lesson. And again, the music that you're hearing in the background it's my tune called Akila's Meditation. I wrote it for a friend who passed last year, and it's on my project called Key Reflections Volume 1. You can listen to it wherever you have streaming already. If you have Spotify, Apple Music, just look up Key Reflections Aaron Hill. It's a solo piano meditation project with 2 bonus tracks on it at the end, with a little steel pond up in there, a little steel drum. And last but not least, on the 24th of this month, if you're in the DMV area, Baltimore, DC, Virginia, I'm having a solo piano meditation concert. And I'm really excited about it because I think it's going to be a really transformative experience. And I was actually say, like, especially with me creating this new term, neuromusical mindfulness, it's actually, I'm going to be like in full effect in that way. So, yeah, it's just going to be great. I think you're going to enjoy it from just a musical perspective as far as piano meditation. I also think that you would enjoy it from the perspective of where I'm going as a messenger as well. I'm going to do a guided meditation from the piano, and I think the whole experience is just going to be transformative. So January 24th at Ondi Music, which is 409 Charles Street, and I'll be putting up the flyer soon, but definitely if you're able to make a pencil in your mark, that's a Friday night. 7:30 is going to be the time, and yeah, this is going to be the first of many experiences this year that come from this perspective of meditation, mindfulness, and what I'm coining as neuromusical mindfulness. So that's about it. Drop a line, let me know what you thought of this session, and as always, take care, peace, and be well. Join me in a few minutes for the word of the day, and I'll see you soon. Oh, and also, if you're interested in helping me to continue to create content like this, look for the information in the comment section. I'm going to put it there, and we'll keep moving forward. All right, take care.